Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today is part 2. We're going to be making the cap for the top of the water cube. Let's get started. So you can see our pond is quite low right now, which is indicative of the amount of rain that we haven't been getting. You'll also see about a year ago we threw maybe 7 or 8 bluegill, sunfish, bluegill, into the pond. Since then the water, like I said, is quite a bit lower, but we do have more than what we threw in there, which is pretty cool. Maybe here soon we'll be able to do some catch and release and a little bit of snackage, but let's get back to the cube. All right, so you'll recall we ran this hose to the downspout, see the previous video, and we had to wait a month for Amazon to deliver the cap. Basically, all we're going to be doing in this video, we're going to be drilling a hole, preferably in the center, wide enough diameter to run the hose through. The principle here is Gravita will have the water go down until the water cannot go down anymore. So here we are about 3 weeks later, and we're only right here, which correlates to, let's see, that's 100 gallons, and that's 50, so we're at about 75. You can see a shake there. I have used maybe 10 gallons out of this, but we have not been receiving a lot of rainfall, so we want to collect up what we can. The premise, again, this will fill up until it can't. I'm going to be making a rather tight hole in this, the same exterior diameter as the exterior diameter of the hose, and then we're going to glue around it. As the water continues down the hose into this cube, once, sorry, fighting a cold in the middle of July, the water will have no place else to go. I'm not cutting a air hole or a burp hole here, so any additional water will continue into the hose and will go back down the downspout and will go back into the pond. So first step, we got the 2-pack for what that's worth. They came with a O-ring or a gasket that was not installed. And honestly, it took like 3 minutes to get it lined up, and it's quite tight, which as far as watertight sealing goes is kind of what you want. So make sure that you have your O-ring, gasket, whatever in place. Next thing we're going to do, bring this guy up out, and let's make sure we ordered, hello moth, the appropriate size, which we did. Shiny. So at this point, with one non-dominant hand, I'm going to go ahead and start drilling a hole with a drill. You can also use the awl from your Swiss Army knife or whatever tools you have on hand. We're going to drill a hole in this and get it ready for the hose. So I find having a wood surface to put this up against, you're going to get the most leverage without worrying about it going through your finger as you're drilling the hole in. It can go into the sacrificial wood. That's fine. We have a couple of drill bits here. And I'm going to be using the hose, the remnants of the hose that I cut, to give me my diameter. So I'm going to line this up, which I cannot do with one hand. Line it up here. We're going to get our diameter. We're going to bore it out as best we can, as close of a tolerance as we can with the bits that I have. We're going to glue around it, seal it up, install. All right. So I got it quite tight, more than I would want, honestly. It is squeezing in a little bit, but that's going to help us keep a waterproof seal. We're going to go ahead and apply the waterproof outdoor adhesive to both the inside and the outside of it. And before we do that, we're going to get this hooked up to the hose on the actual cube. This one again was a reference, and get started with the gluing. Okay, so we're going to try and get it tight enough where, again, we don't have any kind of droopage or saggage here. Water's not going to go down and then come back up and then go in. We're going to try and give it the easiest path of travel. With that said, we have quite a bit of hose that needs to be cut. So I'm going to cut it about the same depth as the lid, right? And line with the rim here, and then glue it into place. So the section is cut. The reason we tried to put it dead center is just like the axle on your wheel. The closer to the center it is, the easier that this lid is going to rotate around it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the lid further up the hose, apply some adhesive, pull the lid back down, and then spin the lid into place. Hopefully between all of that, that's going to provide us a seal on the inside. Should that not be enough or fail, we're also going to do the outside, the top side of the lid. And better to have two seals and end up getting one than to have one seal and end up getting none. So let's go ahead and do that process and then screw it into place. The adhesive has been applied on the underside, the inside of this. We are screwing it into place, and then I'm going to apply a little bit around here. What I've done is put the log here, and that's going to keep that in a relatively linear path. Additionally, if I were to get rid of that piece of wood, this will start bending so far it could possibly pinch off, which is not what we want. So I'm going to have the log in the way, which as this hose gets heavier with the amount of water that's in it, this is going to help maintain a better angle to allow the water to flow in. So on the primary cube, we have about 130 gallons. Again, this one is at about 75, but we have our completed water fill and water drain system. So being a closed loop, closed system, again, water comes down the hose, fills it up as much as it can. Once it reaches full, the water will have no other place to go but up the hose and back down the downspout. So we are done. We'll let that adhesive dry in the 90 degrees and 90% humidity we've been having for the last 2 months. I don't think it's going to take too long to cure, but that's about what we got. So as always, this is outside the target demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.